Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Vishnu Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Ashtottara Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Vishnu Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Ashtottara His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Gaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaur Bhaktorinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kundarada Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Shri Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Shri Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Maya Ki Jai. Yamuna Maya Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Yagya Ki Jai. Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Girihari Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Good morning, everyone. Today we're reading from Canto number 7, chapter 4, text 37, and we'll go word by word. Niyasta. Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Yasta Kridanako Balo Jadavat Tan Manastaya Krishna Graha Hitatma Na Veda Jagad Idrisham Yasta Kridana Kobalo Jadavatan Manastaya Krishna Graha Grihitatma Naveda Jagadidrisham Yasta Kridana Kobalo Jadavatan Manastaya Krishna Graha Grihitatma Naveda Jagadidrisham Nyasta Kridana Kobalo Jadavatan Manastaya Krishna Graha Grihitatma Naveda Jagadidrisham Please chant. Veda Jagadidrisham Danakobalo Jagatan Namastaya Krishna Graha Grihitatma Jagadidrisham Nasta Kridana Kobalo Jadavatan Manastaya Krishna Graha Grihitatma Nasta Kridana Kobalo Jadavatan Manastaya Naveda Jagadidrisham. Would you like to chant? Balo Chadavatan Vanastaya Krishna Graha Grihitatma Naveda Jagadidrisham. Would you like to chant? Okay. So, word by word meaning. Yasta, having given up. Kridanakaha, all sportive activities or tendencies for childhood play. Balaha, a boy. Jadavat, as if dull without activities. Tatmanastaya, by being fully absorbed in Krishna. Krishna Graha, by Krishna, who is like a strong influence, like a graha or planetary influence. Vihitatma, whose mind was fully attracted. Na, not. Veda, understood. Jagat, the entire material world. Idrisham, like this. Translation and comments by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. From the very beginning of his childhood, Prahlāda Mahārāja was uninterested in childish playthings. Indeed, he gave them up altogether and remained silent and dull, being fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness. Since his mind was always affected by Krishna consciousness, he could not understand how the world goes on being fully absorbed in the activities of sense gratification. In the purport, Prahlāda Mahārāja is the vivid example of a great person fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya 8:274, it is said, Stavara Jangama Deke na Deke Tara Murti Sarvatra Haya Nija Ishta Deva Spurti. A fully Krishna conscious person, although situated in this material world, does not see anything but Krishna anywhere and everywhere. This is the sign of a mahā-bhāgavata. The mahā-bhāgavata sees Krishna everywhere because of his attitude of pure love for Krishna. As confirmed in Brahma Samhita 5:38, Primanjana Charita Bhakti Vilochanena Santa Sadaiva Hridayeshu Vilokayanti Yam Shyama Sundarama Chinti Guna Sarupam Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. I worship the primeval Lord Govinda, who is always seen by the devotees whose eyes are anointed with the pulp of love. He is seen in his eternal form of Shyama Sundar, situated within the heart of the devotee. An exalted devotee or Mahatma, who is rarely to be seen, remains fully conscious of Krishna and constantly sees the Lord within the core of his heart. It is sometimes said that when one is influenced by evil stars like Saturn, Rahu or Ketu, he cannot make advancement in any prospective activity. In just the opposite way, Prahlāda Mahārāja was influenced by Krishna, the supreme planet, and thus the supreme planet, and thus he could not think of the material world and live without Krishna consciousness. That is the sign of a mahā-bhāgavata. Even if one is an enemy of Krishna, a mahā-bhāgavata sees him to be also engaged in Krishna's service. Another crude example is that everything appears yellow to the jaundiced eye. Similarly, to a mahā-bhāgavata, everyone but himself appears to be engaged in Krishna's service. Prahlāda Mahārāja is the approved mahā-bhāgavata, the supreme devotee. In the previous verse, it was stated that he had natural attachment. Naisargikiratihi. The symptoms of such natural attachment for Krishna are described in this verse. Although Prahlāda Mahārāja was only a boy, he had no interest in playing. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th Canto, 2nd chapter, text 42, Viraktir anyatra cha. The symptom of perfect Krishna consciousness is that one loses interest in all material activities. For a small boy to give up playing is impossible. But Prahlāda Mahārāja, being situated in first-class devotional service, was always absorbed in the trance of Krishna consciousness. Just as a materialistic person is always absorbed in thoughts of material gain, a mahā-bhāgavata like Prahlāda Mahārāja is always absorbed in thoughts of Krishna. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Marobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahaganaraganatandvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijanasahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagadpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishibhanu Satadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatrubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna and good morning everyone. Thank you for this opportunity to speak on Srimad Bhagavatam. We are continuing to read about the pastime of Prahlāda Mahārāja, Lord Nrsimhadev. And this is Narada Muni. He is describing the glorious qualities, characteristics of Prahlāda Mahārāja. And specifically, what really stood out to me in this text is the fact that Prahlāda Mahārāja was only 5 years old, but he was uninterested in different childish playthings. At recreation period, when his schoolmates wanted to play, Prahlāda Mahārāja wanted to engage them in Krishna consciousness and chant the holy name and discuss topics of Srimad Bhagavatam. But they would say, no, Prahlāda Mahārāja, we're just little boys and girls. We want to play. We don't want to discuss Krishna consciousness. And then Prahlāda Mahārāja would say that actually, if you're very intelligent, even if you're a little boy, a little girl, you should engage in chanting and hearing the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam. And because we see now in this age, of course, the Shastra says that in this Kali Yuga we live for 100 years, but because this age of Kali is now here, there is no assurance that we'll live such a long life. And one time Srila Prabhupada was given a lecture, and he was also speaking about this, spiritual cultivation at an old age, and he was making the point that what is the old age? What does it mean to be in old age? And it means that death is near. Death is coming near. So old age could mean 5 years old or 50 years old. We don't know. So therefore it is recommended to take up spiritual practice in the very early age, as early as possible. Because if we don't do that, if we get old, when we get old, we really feel out of shape in our body. We feel that our body will be actually an obstacle. Can come in the way of our spiritual life, especially if we're beginning at an old age. Imagine learning Krishna consciousness and reading Srimad Bhagavatam and trying to be attentive in our spiritual practice, but your body is full of aches and pains, and it's a disturbance. And similarly, also, it is challenging to take it up being a child or being very young, because we are without good parenting and education, because we're just learning through our senses, trying to, like a child always learns from putting everything in the mouth. So, and in between this, we also, it's also challenging, since we're always affected by lust, by karma. So we're just trying to satisfy that desire. But nevertheless, it's still recommended, and we should do this, and it's possible to do if we hear from authority and learn Krishna consciousness from mahā-bhāgavata, a pure devotee of Krishna. And also, Srila Prahlāda Mahārāja recommends that we should educate everyone. We should have Srimad Bhagavatam being studied at the school, because at the school, or for instance universities, we see that people they teach them how to do all the things right, but they never teach people how to do the right thing. So when people come out of the university, they actually feel that I learned something, I put so much credit and so much money into my education, but I'm not guaranteed a good job. And sometimes the job that I get, I'm not satisfied with. So therefore, it's very important to be Krishna conscious. Krishna consciousness means developing good qualities. And His Holiness Bhadrayan Swami Maharaj on Sunday, he was speaking about that the way to develop good qualities is to engage our senses in the service to the Lord. And then all the Vaishnava qualities will be manifested in the practitioner, in the sincere practitioner. There's a text in the first canto, Srimad Bhagavatam, the second chapter, text number 6. Savayam pumsam paradharmo yato bhaktira dokshije ahaitiki pratihata yatma suprasidati. That the actual dharma for mankind, pumsam, for the mankind, is bhaktira dokshije, is engaging yourself in service to the Lord. And then that service should be ahaitiki pratihata. It should be unmotivated by anything, and it should be without interruption, to completely satisfy the self, suprasidati. And I was just reading the Srimad Bhagavatam, the pastime of Lord Brahma, when he was offering his wonderful prayers to Krishna. And just to speak on that point of importance of devotional service, there's a text that says, Jananta eva janantu kim bhāhutyana me prabho manasova pusho vacho vaibhavam tava gocharaha. So Lord Brahma says, there are people who say, I know everything about Krishna. Let them think that way. But as far as your opulences are concerned, they are beyond the reach of my mind, body, and words. And that, we know that during the prayers, when Lord Brahma was actually offering these prayers, he was very humbled by the presence of Krishna. And it described that he was actually crying, and he was offering obeisances at the lotus feet of Krishna. And the tears were bathing the feet of Lord Krishna, Abhishek. And even though he was crying, he was in complete ecstasy, because he's seen Krishna. And so he's offering this different prayers, and the mood of Lord Brahma in his prayers, that he says, I want to be a blade of grass in Vrindavan, or at least somewhere near Vrindavan. And Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakur points out that just as a lamp does not seem to shine as brightly as in the sunlight as it does in the shade, or diamond does not seem as brilliant on the silver plate as it does on a plate of blue glass. So similarly, Lord pastimes of Govinda, they do not seem as amazing in the transcendental abode of Vaikuntha as they seem so amazing in the realm of Maya, in the material realm. So we see Lord Brahma, he is actually so impressed and so happy to see Krishna that he wants to, even though he's very humbled, he wants to be with Krishna at that moment. But Krishna says that, no, you should return to Brahmaloka and continue with your service, with your devotional activity. You should continue your creation of material universe. And Srila Prabhupada explains in the comments that a devotee should be very attentive to executing his personal devotional service very properly. And this is more important than trying to live in the Lord's abode, in the Lord's association. So we have our services, and we should understand that, in order to progress in spiritual life, we have to be responsible. It's very important. As brahmacharis, we've been trained under the guidance of a spiritual master, and spiritual master, he needs help, so he engages us in service, and whatever work is required to do in the ashram, it's actually our duty to perform, to do it as brahmacharis. And that cultivates the humility in the way that there's two ways to cultivate humility. If we agree to it, and we cultivate humility by being in a proper position, by engaging in service. Another way to cultivate humility is by being, you can say, by being forced to do certain things. Of course, we can leave the ashram, but if we don't understand, sometimes we just we've been forced to do certain things, and that's another way to be humble, to learn how to be humble. So yeah, we should stay busy serving, and if we stay busy serving, there's a guarantee that we'll advance. But if we deviate, because there might be a tendency to go astray, then we can actually be influenced by Maya. And I was asking people yesterday, specifically people from India on book distribution, I was asking them. It's a good way to interact with people from India. At least I've noticed. I would call them to the table and I would ask him a question. What is Maya? And can you define Maya to me? And they would say, well, Maya means something fake, something that doesn't exist, illusion. And then I would tell them, well, do you think all the people are influenced by illusion to a large or small extent? And they would say, well, yeah, I think so. And then I would ask them, well, how do we become free from Maya then if we're influenced by it? And then they would tell me, well, you have to be positive. Some people would say, well, you have to rely on God, you have to connect with God. And I said, that's perfect. And I would show them a text in the Bhagavad Gita, 7th chapter, Knowledge of the Absolute, text number 14, Daivihesha Gunamaya. And they would read this text, and on the basis of that text, I'll kind of expand a little bit more about the importance of recognizing different energies of Krishna. And then they would take a book, because it just makes sense. If I want to be free from illusion, I have to learn how to be connected with Krishna. Let me see this Bhagavad Gita. And so the best way to stay busy as we learn and understand is to be engaged in service. And now in December, we have an opportunity to stay busy by distributing Srila Prabhupada's transcendental gifts of wisdom. And we offer people the highest knowledge. When you go to Veda base, you see that it says on the front page, this is the topmost source of spiritual knowledge, and it's true. Actually, Sri Sanatana Goswami, he said that somehow or other, if one helps another living entity to be released from the bondage of Maya, he's immediately recognized by Krishna. And what's better service for Krishna if not help the conditioned souls? We get purified, and then other people also get benefited by getting an opportunity to read Srila Prabhupada's books. Just like Srila Prabhupada was saying that a father is not very happy when his son goes away from the house and just starts wandering around doing all kinds of strange things without proper education and guidance. So similarly, if we see that in this material world there's so many fallen conditioned souls just wandering around without a purpose, and on that account we should go out and try to help them. And we can try to recognize the importance of Srila Prabhupada's books by reading them, and then we'll learn how to present them nicely by hearing, by reading these books. Also yesterday, I met people from Iowa. It's a family of 3 people, husband, wife, and a small child. And I was talking to someone else, and that mother, she was also kind of coming by, and I was done talking to this people, and she was almost away from the table, so I still called her to the table and I said, please come check this out. And she said, well, okay, why not? I'll try to see what you got here. And I was showing her the books and illustrations, and she thought that because there's this book, 4 Agreements, I believe it's called, and she thought that the horses that I was showing her, the pictures of the horses, it means the 4 Agreements. But anyway, she was very inspired by the teaching, by the Bhagavad Gita, by the pictures, and she said, to be honest with you, she opened up to me. She said, I'm in complete anxiety. I feel that I like to plan things ahead. I always plan things ahead, and I see that usually nothing ever works out. And I become so frustrated because I'm trying to put all my attention into planning, but it never works out. So I feel very frustrated, And my husband, he's also frustrated. He's completely dissatisfied with how things are going with life. Generally speaking, we have a child now, so we're always busy. We don't have any time for ourselves. And so anyway, the husband came over with the child, and he saw Bhagavad Gita, and he was very happy to see it. He said, "Oh, actually, this book was on my list, on my reading list. So thank you for offering this to us." And at the end, we chanted together, chanted Hare Krishna with these people. And I asked them, how do you feel now? They say, I actually feel much more peaceful. One guy, some time ago, I stopped him, it was in La Jolla Cove. He said, I used to work as a fireman. And now I'm in between jobs, but after that I was in the corporate world, but I had to stop because it's also very stressful. And I asked him this question: when you're working as a fireman, did you have any way in any way did you help people? Did you save someone's life? I was curious to know. And he said, yes, there was one incident where one person was driving in his car, and he was driving in some neighborhood. And he was madly intoxicated. He was completely drunk. And then he realized that I shouldn't be driving. So he pulled over in some sort of parking space. And he stopped. But because he was drunk, there was some pole or something like that. His car was still, his foot was on the accelerator the whole time. And so his car set up on fire. And so someone saw it, and they called the fire department, and this person came, and he dragged them out of the car and saved his life. And it's very heroic, actually. So many things that people from fire department do. It's very heroic. And I asked him, did you ever get a thanks letter from him, or did he ever thank you for that? And he said, actually, no, never. I never heard of him. So I said, well, you used to do a very thankless job, very thankless service to people, and we also trying to do the same thing. And he appreciated the fact that we're here, trying to share this wonderful teachings. And people are attracted by our books. It's a fact. The way our books are presented, the covers and Sanskrit and everything, it's very attractive. Just on that basis, one person, his name is Ernesto from Palm Springs, he just bought the entire Srimad Bhagavatam set just because it was so attractive. He came over to me at the Zoom, and he saw the layout of Srimad Bhagavatam because I had 2 tables. And he was looking at the books, and it's just like so beautiful. And he said, I've heard a little bit about these books from the internet. He said, I'm a Catholic, my whole family is Catholic. But I was fascinated by Eastern philosophy and the stories. So I offered him the books, and he said, I'm actually going to the zoo, maybe not this time. And so on the way out, he came back again, and he stopped and was looking at the books again. He was taking his time, looking at all different cantos. And I said, you got to take this. You have to just go and take it. Take this Srimad Bhagavatam. And because it was sponsored all the way, we agreed that he will only give 100 and take the whole set, and that's what he did. So this is very beautiful part of Srimad Bhagavatam, where we're learning about Srila Prahlāda Mahārāja and his beautiful transcendental qualities. And Srila Prahlāda Mahārāja is an Uttamadhikari or mahā-bhāgavata. He can see Krishna in everything. He recognizes that all these energies, it's all Krishna. It's just a different transformation of his energies, whether it's movable or immovable. And he was a first-class devotee. He's a first-class devotee. He's a Anyabhilashta Shunyam Gyanakarmadya Navritam. He's Anakalena Krishnanu Shilanam Bhaktirutama. He was free from any material desires, from the knowledge obtained by monistic philosophy and intuitive activities, and whatever he did was in a favorable way to Krishna, for Krishna. And one of my favorite qualities of Prahlāda Mahārāja is his compassion. It's actually completely incomparable to anyone else's. Of course, in the material world here, we have some figures that also resembles very high level of compassion, and we recognize and see it. Like an example of Jesus Christ, for instance, he had a lot of compassion. Actually, yesterday somebody told me that when Jesus Christ was on the cross, he put your name on that list too. So yeah, this is example of compassion. And even though it's there, Jesus Christ he was trying to help people in this world. But even though we saw that and recognize that, but some people still do not understand compassion of Jesus Christ. What to speak of compassion of Prahlāda Mahārāja? It's completely extraordinary. It's beyond anything material. I mean, any material conceptions. Because he was placed in circumstances where he was tortured by his father in so many vicious ways. He was put under the feet of the elephant, and he was snakes try to kill him, and then his father tried to get him off the cliff, and in so many ways he was trying to chastise Prahlāda Mahārāja. But even though it happened to him, he always kept an undisturbed mind. He was always clear-headed. He was always focused on and absorbed on thinking and meditating of Krishna. And many great devotees also resemble great compassion. For instance, we see that Srila Prabhupada was also resembling great compassion. One time in Mexico City, or Mexico, excuse me, he was given a lecture. And there was a lady guest, and she was asking him, she was saying that Bhagavad Gita explains that if you think about Krishna at the time of death, then you go back to Krishna, there's no doubt about it. But what if we think about you, Srila Prabhupada, at the time of death? What will happen to us? Will there be the same effect? And Srila Prabhupada closed his eyes for a few moments, then he opened them and he said, yes, there will be the same effect. And another time, Srila Prabhupada was asked by devotees, when we go to the spiritual world, will you recognize us, Srila Prabhupada? And then Srila Prabhupada said that I will take your hand and put your hand in the hands of Krishna. Like that. So this is and some devotees would fall away from practicing Krishna consciousness. But and there was a particular case with one devotee. He was actually in order of sannyas, and he fell away from practice, and he was at the hospital, and he was leaving his body, and at the time of death, somehow other devotees were there present, and he was thinking of Srila Prabhupada. He was yelling, saying, "Srila Prabhupada came to me, Srila Prabhupada came to me." So this is a level of compassion of Srila Prabhupada. And in the heart of everyone, there's Prahlāda Mahārāja, and also Hiranyakashipu. There's demonic and divine natures, and they're always fighting. And there's always a conflict. And how is it going to end? If we stay put to this practice of Krishna consciousness, if we continue following regulative principles, which actually give us determination to practice, and if we chant the minimum pre-prescribed amounts of rounds and continue in association with devotees taking prasadam and engaging in different various services, then actually Lord Nrsimhadev will come and he will kill Hiranyakashipu, the Nimani qualities from within our heart. And the example of Sridhar Swami is when he was saying in the commentaries to one of the also texted prayers of Lord Brahma. He was saying that just like as a son, legitimate son who has inheritance, he simply just have to remain alive to get that inheritance from his father. So similarly, if we just stay together, stay put in our Krishna consciousness, we can also inherit this great wealth of pure bhakti, and we'll become eligible to receive the mercy and go back into the kingdom of God, go back to God. And speaking of this family, I met this one family from Philippines during the Gita Jayanti. I was distributing Bhagavad Gitas, and it's a very funny interaction. The family, at first there was a boy came over to me. He's a young boy, maybe 17, 18 years old. And he recognized there's a Bhagavad Gita, so he said, "Oh wow, this is awesome, Bhagavad Gita." Actually, my roommate, he's a Hindu, so he always talks about Bhagavad Gita. So it's very interesting, he said. And then his brother came over, and they were, standing, and his sister, they were standing next to me, and we were talking about. I was explaining to them about how reading Bhagavad Gita and following, practicing Bhakti Yoga, it actually directly helps you to understand of your spiritual nature. And then it teaches you how to become free from anxiety for gain and safety. And then you can also transcend material activities by practicing Krishna consciousness. And they thought it's very interesting. And I said the purpose of life is to connect with Krishna, reestablish our forgotten relationship. And they thought it was very interesting. So the mother came over and her son, he said, "Can you please explain the same thing you just explained to me to my mother? She'd be very interested to hear this." And so I did that, and the mother, she was like, "Wow, this is great. But what do you do if someone is really bothering your life? What do you do if someone is really agitating you all the time and giving you problems?" And she was pointing out on her husband. The husband was behind. She was like pointing out at him. And I try to say that, in some ways we have to understand that not all of us are ready to take up Krishna consciousness. So tolerance has to be there, and we can try to sneak in a little bit of something Krishna conscious and spiritual into a life of that person. And she was appreciating, and eventually they took 3 Bhagavad Gitas. Each son got the Bhagavad Gita, and the mother got the Bhagavad Gita, and they gave a very generous donation. And so the purpose of parampara is compassion. Amoghalila Prabhu was saying that actually the lineage, the parampara, it's an extension of Krishna. That's why we have to worship our Guru Parampara. And the purpose of Parampara is to give compassion, to show compassion, to show us Krishna, to give us Krishna. And there's a very nice text in the Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, first chapter, text number 4. Nivrita tarshe rupagi mayanat, bhavashatacha chutamana biramat, kautamashloka gunana vadatat, pumamvri virajaita vina pashugnat. Glorification of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is performed in the Parampara system. That is, it is conveyed from the spiritual master to disciple, and such glorification is relished by those no longer interested in the false temporary glorification of this cosmic manifestation. Descriptions of the Lord are the right medicine for the conditioned soul, undergoing repeated birth and death. Therefore, who will cease hearing such glorification of the Lord, except the butcher or one who is killing his own self? So 99% of people that we meet on Sankirtan, they're actually so far away from Krishna, and they couldn't be more forgetful of Krishna even if they wanted to be. But even though it's a fact, because many people, they engaged in illicit activities, they kill or participate in killing cows, they eat meat, and some people they've lost any positivity about life, so they might have tendencies of committing suicide. But even though it's a fact that these people are not interested in reading these books and taking up Krishna consciousness, we still go out because devotees of Krishna are more merciful than Krishna. So we're trying to also extend that mercy and be a part of this parampara to help people get a chance, get an opportunity to learn about Krishna consciousness. And our books, it's just simply, they're filled with holy name. They fill with holy name on every page. And Srila Prabhupada's books are like purports to the holy name. So, and material life, material world means tamas, oblivion, ignorance, darkness. So without compassion of devotees, it's going to remain so. It's just going to be darkness, ignorance, illusion. So devotees should try our best in this December marathon and at other times to give people Krishna consciousness. That is our duty. So I'll end here. It's 8:34. If anyone has any questions or comments or corrections, please. You're welcome. Your Chana Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, thank you for the class. I want to ask you about, in purport Srila Prabhupada speaks that Prahlāda Mahārāja even give up children's, games, pastimes, and he all time was absorbed in Krishna consciousness. He thought about him. But we are not on this level. We have many different thoughts in our mind, and what we should do to come to this level like Prahlāda Mahārāja.
Thank you. The most important thing we can do is to associate with a mahā-bhāgavata, or a pure devotee. And we can do that by reading Srila Prabhupada's books. And now we in a sangha of devotees. And so we can also take advantage of that and come with a sincere desire to learn and inquire about Krishna. Because the purpose is of also 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita is that if we just observe in speaking about Krishna, discussing Krishna Katha with each other, we become completely satisfied and happy. There's nothing else that is required. So if we come to associate with people who have Krishna in their heart and try to learn the science of Krishna consciousness from them by serving them and by asking questions, by offering our service, by offering our respects, then that knowledge could be imparted into our heart. And like this way, we can be more and more attracted to also give up all different activities related to playing. And of course, recreation is important. It has to be regulated. But the most important thing is Krishna consciousness, like that. Thank you. Anyone else? All right. Krantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.